I am 34 years old. I have been following this subreddit for a long time. Lately there is something in my life about which I needed an opinion. I have read many posts about sisters-in-law to see if someone else has gone through my situation and how they handled it. Well, I guess my situation is unique and I would need some advice about it. It is about my sister-in-law Valeria. That is the reason why I cannot discuss this with my husband Sebastian. You know the family complexities. So here is the thing. My sister-in-law Valeria, who is 27 years old, is planning a wedding for the spring. She wants to organize it at my house. Yes, that is right. Not to brag, but I have a 4-bedroom house with a pool and a large garden. She is engaged to an Irish guy. So her family and relatives would need a place to stay when they come to the wedding. We have a very spacious living room and a large garden outside. She plans an outdoor wedding in the garden followed by a dinner in the living room. That is how she wants it to be. Now the obvious question is, am I okay with this? Well, I do not know. That is why I am here looking for advice. Let me give you some context. I have been married to my husband Sebastian for 8 years. We met in university and dated for 4 years before getting married. He does not come from a wealthy family, but he is a hard-working and self-taught man. My father-in-law worked as a day laborer and my mother-in-law did occasional jobs. My husband has a younger sister who has been living with my in-laws. Keep in mind she is 27 years old and still does not work. Not only do they provide her with food and shelter, but they also attend to her extravagant demands. And when I say extravagant, I mean beyond their means. Unlike my husband, who completed his master's degree, my sister-in-law Valeria dropped out of university. Her parents did not even insist that she finish university. She is inspired by this new age influencer who says that a degree does not make you rich or successful. It seems strange to me because I was raised completely opposite. Although my parents are quite wealthy, they never gave us privileges. Yes, we went to a private school, call it luxury or whatever you want, but beyond that my parents did nothing for my career. When my brother and I were in high school, Dad told us to earn a scholarship or take out a student loan. He was not going to pay for our university. We used to hate him and thought our dad was stingy. We studied hard and got scholarships. Now that I am older, I realize the wisdom of his upbringing. It made us self-sufficient, especially after seeing my sister-in-law Valeria. I am convinced of how important the role of parents is in a person's life. When I got my first job right after university, I went crazy partying on vacations, but Dad sat me down and showed me some good properties. I was happy that he was finally letting go of some money from his tight hands, but that was not the case. He wanted me to buy the house myself. He paid the down payment. He explained the importance of having my own house, and the sooner the better. He advised me to rent out half of it to get help with the mortgage. I own this house today, which makes me glad when I see the housing prices now. I think if I had not bought it, I would not have been able to get such a spacious property at this price. If I have to talk about my relationship with my in-laws, it has been more or less acceptable. We do not see each other that often. They live on the other side of the city and I lead a very busy life. Still, I have a decent bond with my mother-in-law. We talk once a week, but I simply cannot connect with my sister-in-law Valeria. We are on opposite poles. She does not like me because during our initial interactions I tried to convince her to complete her education and get a job. She thinks I am jealous of her because her parents take care of her while mine abandoned me to live on my own. The worst is that my in-laws say they are going through financial difficulties, but they continue to support their 27-year-old daughter. My husband Sebastian and I offered to help her get an office job, but neither she nor my in-laws showed interest. She is a slacker, there is no doubt about it. But my in-laws should have pushed her to work. Although they are happy to provide for her, there are a couple of reasons why my sister-in-law Valeria wants to get married in my house. One, of course, is the space. She could have the wedding lunch and dinner in one place, and even her guests could stay without needing to book a hotel. Another reason is that she cannot afford to rent a place, and if it is not my house, she would have to settle for a wedding in the town hall. She does not earn money, and my in-laws do not have a fortune to spend on her wedding. My husband Sebastian does not want to opine about it because it is my house and he wants me to make the decision regardless of what he thinks. That is my man, and that is why I love him so much. So my problem boils down to this. Do you think I should allow her to use my house as the venue for her wedding? Update 1. The day after tomorrow is the wedding, and today I found out that I am not invited. The funny part is that the wedding is in my house. Let me start from where I left off last time. Yes, I agreed to let her use my house for the wedding. I was definitely worried about it, but eventually I agreed. Now I regret my decision. I am furious, so please excuse me if I am just venting everything I feel. My sister-in-law Valeria is nothing but a woman who uses men for money in exchange for you know what. She is not even that pretty, and do not get me started on her lack of intelligence. But you know, once the lights go out, most men do not care about all that. She can be good at what she offers, so she was able to hit the jackpot. That is what she calls her fiancé, the jackpot. Not only is she superficial but also a liar. I found out that her Irish fiancé is quite well off financially. He works as a banker and even his family is wealthy. So to impress them, she lied saying that my house was theirs. I knew about this lie for a long time, but I did not care because at the end of the day it did not affect me at all. When her fiancé proposed marriage, she came to me and almost begged me to let her use my house for the wedding. As if that was not enough, my in-laws also came begging. They said that if I did not accept this, they might have to take out a loan to finance her wedding. I asked why cannot she and her fiancé finance it. My in-laws said traditionally it is the bride's parents who pay for the wedding and the Irish follow this tradition more than we do. I do not know how true this is, so please do not judge me for it. Those are not my words. Besides, my sister-in-law Valeria had already bragged to her fiancé and his family about her big house that can host a wedding. Her stupidity made me laugh. I said, what if I do not host the wedding in my house? I mean, I can do that, right? Do not you think she should have asked me first before committing this to her fiancé? My in-laws nodded and asked me to safeguard their reputation. I told them I would, but that they should have done a better job educating their daughter. You see, I do not sugarcoat my words, and maybe that is why they think I am arrogant. They do not understand that I say this for their own good. You know what happened next? They came to my house until I agreed. At one point I thought it is a matter of 2 days. Let us get this over with. Some people asked me in the last post if she offered to pay rent. No. All this happened 3 months ago when I made the original post. Fast forward to 2 days ago. My sister-in-law Valeria arrived with my in-laws and 2 other men. I was at work. I saw this on the indoor camera. They have a motion sensor. I called her and asked what was going on. She said that those guys were wedding designers. They were here for a site visit and to plan the wedding accordingly. I asked her to be careful with my things. She assured me she would. After paying my mortgage last year, I got rid of the tenants who occupied my 2 upstairs bedrooms. I took time off work to prepare 2 rooms for them. I hired a cleaner to do the task. It is a huge house to clean everything myself. Today my sister-in-law Valeria showed up at 6 in the morning while we were still sleeping. She was going for her bachelorette party in the next city. She was here to see if everything had been prepared properly. She was happy to see that I had prepared 2 rooms for them and rented a larger dining table for tonight's dinner. Then she toured the house saying, well, those 2 rooms are ready for my in-laws. Mom and Dad will take your room and I will take the room with the walk-in closet. Wow, I am so excited to show them my big house with all these elegant things. I cannot wait to see their amazed expressions. When I gave them the house, I was confused. I mean, where do we fit in? The rest of the conversation was like this. Sorry, I am confused. If your parents occupy our room, where are we going? Well, I do not know. You can go to your parents' house or maybe check into a hotel for 2 days. Both of you earn well. I am sure you can afford it. But why do we have to move out of our own house? Because for them it is my parents' house, remember? And you cannot live here. It would be very weird if a married brother and his wife lived with my parents. I felt dizzy after that conversation. How, what the hell? So you are going to make it seem like this is your parents' house and you live here like a princess? I was already quite angry. I put on a serious face and asked, then according to your fairy tale, where do we live? In case your in-laws ask us. Oh, they will not. I mean, how would they? You will not be present here, right? And what about our things, our photographs? Who would know they are your things? I will tell them everything is mine. The only problem are the photos in your hallway. We will have to remove them before they arrive. I sighed and asked, so even if I vacate the house to support your facade, we would still see them at your wedding, right? What if they ask us then? I made this question sarcastically, but her answers left me stunned. No. Here there is a misunderstanding. You are not going to attend the wedding or the family dinner at all. I was like, what the hell? She continued, I am not sure how this happened, but I never invited you to the wedding. My parents sent you an invitation. I felt so stupid for talking to her. I shouted my husband Sebastian's name, who was sleeping peacefully. I shouted so loud that he ran out. Did you know that we were not invited to the wedding? It seems his body was awake but his mind was still asleep. Wedding of who? Oh yes, her wedding. We are not invited. I mean, why? Your sister said that she had not sent us the invitation. So how could we assume that we are invited? Let me understand the situation. I really do not understand what is going on here. It took him a few minutes and some repetitions to understand what had just happened. He was horrified that we had not been invited to the wedding that would be celebrated in our house. My sister-in-law Valeria said, well, if that bothers you so much you can attend. And probably you can say that your wife is sick and has to skip it. I asked what was her original reason to justify our absence. The woman had the audacity to laugh in my face and said, oh, you will not believe it. I told them that my parents have distanced themselves from you because you are too toxic. I was like, wow, what more can I expect from you? I angrily entered my room without saying anything. It was useless to waste time talking to her. My husband Sebastian followed me and assured me that it was still my decision if I wanted to withdraw my consent. At that moment I was too angry to think clearly. I need to calm down to make a rational decision. That is why I sat down to update here thinking that it could help, and it helped. I feel much lighter. But that does not mean I am going to give in to the demands of the princess. I do not know what to do now, but definitely I am not going to leave my house to participate in her tale of lies. Whatever happens, I will update this thread. You can count on me. Update 2. Hello guys. Thanks for participating in my posts. Yes, everyone was right when they said that the spoiled princess lives in a world of illusions. First of all, let me answer some common questions from the comments. How can my sister-in-law Valeria access my house in my absence after I agreed that she use it for the wedding? I gave her the spare key. The front porch, the living room, the garden and the pool area are all covered with cameras, so I felt fine sharing the spare key. Second, how is it possible that my sister-in-law Valeria's fiancé believed her lies that the house was hers? Did he not visit it ever? I am not sure. He has been dating her for less than a year. 2 weeks before the wedding she brought him to my house to give him a tour while I was working. After writing that update that day, I discussed my thoughts with my husband Sebastian. Although he was on my side saying it was my decision, he was worried that if I backed out his sister's wedding would be cancelled and his parents' reputation would be ruined. I said, let us talk then with your parents. We went to their house. We told them about my sister-in-law Valeria's plan to exclude us from the wedding. Apparently they already knew and it seemed they agreed with it. My husband Sebastian lost his composure and said, did you know that she was excluding us from her wedding and you agreed? My mother-in-law responded with a weak voice, we thought that you also agreed. None of you asked why I had not sent you the invitation. At this point I questioned if we were wrong to assume that we were invited to the wedding because it was my house. My husband Sebastian and I looked at each other in shock. My husband shouted, do you realize that there will be no wedding if she retracts her decision? What if we tell the truth to her in-laws? My mother-in-law entered in panic and asked us not to do such a thing. My father-in-law intervened and asked me kindly if it would be okay to attend the wedding if my sister-in-law Valeria sent us the invitation now. I remained in silence and did not respond because I was furious. My father-in-law asked my mother-in-law to call my sister-in-law Valeria and ask her to send us the invitation immediately and apologize to us. My mother-in-law hesitated to call her, but my father-in-law looked at her with red eyes. My mother-in-law called shakily. My father-in-law told her to put the phone on speaker. My sister-in-law Valeria answered the call and scolded my mother-in-law for bothering her during her spa session. My mother-in-law told her that it was urgent and that my father-in-law wanted her to invite me and my husband Sebastian to the wedding. She got angry and said, no way am I going to invite that witch. She thinks she is too smart. My mother-in-law tried to stop her in the middle of the conversation and whispered, they are here with us. But the princess was too busy complaining. She said, if she knows my in-laws she is going to eclipse me. I want to look prettier on my wedding day. Besides, you know how she always talks about different things, jobs, careers, investments and those things blah 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 to capture everyone's attention. I do not want that in my wedding. The focus of everyone should be on me. If she is around she would make me look like a fool. So no, she is not allowed in my wedding. Then she hung up. I shouted back, I make you sound stupid because you're a fool. And I ran out of the house. When my husband Sebastian got up to leave, my in-laws asked him to calm me down and that they would talk with my sister-in-law Valeria so that she would apologize. Apology my ass. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law Valeria sent me a text message saying that I should remove our portraits from the hallway and move out of the house after supervising the preparations tomorrow. She said my fiancé will arrive at the place with his family at 10 in the morning. So get out before that, but make sure to leave my parents there before the wedding planners are left alone. I will stay in my friend's house after the bachelorette party. I will head straight to the salon from here and arrive at the place as a bride. Of course, Your Highness. I am going to plan a perfect wedding for you. When we got home, it was already late in the afternoon. I called the locksmith and changed the locks of the house. Later that night, my husband Sebastian called my father-in-law and told him that we would not allow the wedding in our house, so better that they look for another place. He tried to call my sister-in-law Valeria, but she was busy getting drunk at her bachelorette party. My father-in-law called back in panic, asking what he should do. My husband Sebastian suggested that if he wanted to save his reputation, he should call his guests and cancel the invitation, giving any suitable reason, because there was no way the wedding was going to take place on this date and scheduled place. The night was exciting, just imagining the expressions on my sister-in-law Valeria's face when the truth came out. Around 6 in the morning of the day the wedding with the dinner was to begin, the doorbell rang. It was the wedding designer. He was here to begin the preparations for the wedding. I told him that this was my house and that there would be no wedding. He got confused and said that my sister-in-law Valeria and her fiancé had made the reservation for that day. I told him to call them because my house was no longer available. An hour later, my sister-in-law Valeria's fiancé came to knock on my door. I answered and he asked if my sister-in-law Valeria was at home because she was not answering the phone. I told him no, she was not here because it is not her house. He said that maybe there was some confusion here. I am her fiancé and today we have a wedding in this house. I guess you are her sister-in-law. I saw your photos in the hallway the other day. I smiled and said, you are right. I am her sister-in-law. But there is more truth that I am going to tell you. Let us start with the most basic. This is my house and I live here. My sister-in-law Valeria and my in-laws live on the other side of the city in an apartment. By the way, congratulations on your wedding, but it is no longer going to happen here because I changed my mind. I do not know what happened after that. Around 9 in the morning, this princess came banging on my door. I did not answer. She called my husband Sebastian asking what was going on, that I had thrown out the wedding designer. He said that our house was not available and that she should find another place for the wedding. She screamed and banged on my door asking us to open it. I opened the window and shouted, if you bang on my door again you could end up in jail on your wedding day if there is one. She insulted us and called us names for ruining her life. She left after the neighbors threatened to call the police. I blocked her number, but she bombarded my husband Sebastian's phone with voice messages calling him names for not defending his sister. I asked if he was upset. He said he was upset, but that she had brought it on herself. She cannot assume that everything will be served to her on a silver platter. She was ungrateful and took us for granted. She told her fiancé that this was her house and planned the wedding here without even asking permission. On top of that, she excludes us from the wedding and calls me a witch. What does she expect in return? My in-laws have not taken it well. They blame me for staining the reputation. This makes me question their value system because they clearly agreed with their daughter excluding us from the wedding even though it was celebrated on my property. As for her wedding, it was cancelled that day. My sister-in-law Valeria and my in-laws went to see them to ask them to wait a week so they could organize another place. I heard that her fiancé called them liars in front of everyone and said he was cancelling the wedding and that he would have to rethink the relationship. God knows what will happen now. I am glad to be out of this drama. I have a life to live and a career to excel in. May God bless her and her lies. Update 3. Well, a couple of days have passed since the date that would have been my sister-in-law Valeria's wedding in my house, and as you already know, it did not take place here, although it did not take place anywhere else because at the end of the day the groom decided to cancel everything after seeing the lies of his ex-fiancée. I do not blame him. We are talking about a person who can go so far with the lies. So we could expect more lies in the future, if not now. Anyway, the important thing is the reaction of everyone after all the plans went to the trash. Starting with my sister-in-law Valeria, who has been crying since all this happened. Obviously she blames me for everything, which is ridiculous because it was not me who lied to half the world. Her ex came by the house the other day and told me this at the same time that he apologized for everything. Although I told him no, he had nothing to worry about because he had nothing to do with this. I even apologized to him since I should have told him about this before, although being honest it is not that we had a relationship or that we had had much contact before. I did not even have his phone number or knew his name to search for him on social networks, but I felt bad for him and I apologized. As for my in-laws, they continue calling my husband Sebastian to speak badly of me, although also of him telling him that he should have done something and not just let himself be dominated by me. He is thinking of blocking them if this continues, and he no longer answers their calls because he is fed up with them, but that is something between him and his parents. So I am not going to get involved in that. Update 4. A week has passed since my last update, and I hope that the previous one was the last because I do not have more time to waste with their nonsense. I had already done too much for her, but she had to show up at the house and make a scene. It was Saturday morning and I was at home having breakfast when she banged on the door. I could tell it was her because the knock came accompanied by hysterical screams. She seemed possessed by how she was shrieking. It was like in those horror movies. She wanted to confront me violently, according to what she said, because I had ruined her wedding and her relationship for being selfish and a witch. My husband Sebastian was not at home because he went to play tennis with his friend. She was screaming at the top of her lungs and banging on the door while I drank my coffee. A neighbor heard everything and called the police. He also came to my door to make sure I was okay and told my sister-in-law Valeria that the police was on the way. Finally she left, but the funny thing is that she did it running as if she were a thief or something because she does not have a car and had arrived in an Uber. So she did not have time to order another before the police arrived. Then I opened and talked with my neighbor. When I finished with him, the police arrived and I explained what happened as she threatened to confront me violently, and my neighbor is a witness besides the cameras. The police went to my in-laws' house to look for her. Now it is late and my in-laws have called my husband Sebastian to tell him what I did and shout a little more, but my husband cut the call and blocked them. I know many will feel disappointed because we do not know what happened with my sister-in-law Valeria. Since my in-laws were the only ones capable of telling us, but both of us feel that we have had enough of everyone. If she ends up in jail or not, we do not know. But at least we have finished with that family. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.